The preservation of Brazil's biodiversity is an important consideration for producers, governments, and consumers. The environmental matters, especially as we face challenges resulting from global warming. To achieve responsibly sourcing, it's necessary to have a balance between the three pillars: environmental, social, and economic. Over the course of the next few videos, we will be discussing the actions that must be adopted by producers regarding the environmental pillar. We begin with biodiversity, why it's important, which actions are being employed by coffee producers in Brazil, and the difficulties they face in the implementation of these actions. Hello, I'm Nathana, and join me now for a look at the biodiversity in Brazil and some of the steps being taken to conserve our natural resource. Let's get to know the reality of some TBRT partner producers together. To begin, we will mention CAR, Cadastro Ambiental Rural, the Rural Environmental Registry. All farmers must be registered in CAR, which is designate the georeference farms, matching landowners to their properties, with up-to-date maps of the farmer, including production areas, forests, water bodies, and buildings. And it supports the monitoring and the operation of conservation policies. One of the implications of this is that in some areas, such as here in the south of Minas Gerais, producers must preserve at least 20% of their property. This area that producers need to preserve to protect, regenerate and maintain the environment includes productive areas, but also precious freshwater resources, such as springs, rivers and lakes, in addition to the flora and the fauna. As can be imagined, all conservation requirements cost producers money, in addition to reducing their potential crop yields, because the more areas that are designated with a protected status, the less area is available for production. Let's remember that water is essential to producers. They need fresh water to support their operations and increase their productivity. But fresh water can be expensive. With ongoing droughts and heat waves in many parts of the world, there is a general fear about a lack of fresh water in the future. So preserving our springs makes a big difference. Fresh water is one of the main resources on our planet, and preserving it is our duty. And although its sustainable use and protection cost money and time, producers are already concerned and doing their part in this work. The planting of native trees on a property can also bring several benefits, not only for producers, but for society. It can increase the quality of the air and support conditions for good productivity. It should also be noted that in protected areas, no hunting or removal of endangered species is permitted. It's about producers being dedicated to protecting, rebuilding, and promoting sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably manage forests, reverse land degradation, and stop biodiversity loss. All of these are important parts of the ecosystem, and we should not forget that people are part of the equation too. There is a difficult balance that must be achieved on the ground and in legislation, which is how to allow for the livelihoods of the people who work the land and how to ensure that the land and the animals that live on it will be protected and preserved for generations to come. Note that many people in Brazil make their living off the land. Their livelihoods depend on environment. So, protecting the environment also helps protect their income. Biodiversity needs to be celebrated and protected. It's a key aspect of what makes Brazil an amazing country. We have 70% of the world's officially identified animals and plant species. Biodiversity contributes to the world itself. We need to see the big picture and recognize the value in protecting and preserving biodiversity. Although this may require efforts to preserve, invest, and even reduce the producer's productivity, it's important to understand that when the producer preserves their biodiversity, they are generating benefits for everyone, stakeholders, governments, and consumers around the world. We can see that organizations are currently becoming more aware of social environmental governance, and that many Brazilian producers are already adopting good sustainable practices. For them to adopt other conservation and/or recovery actions for the environment, especially the natural resources developed on their properties, cooperation and collaboration are necessary, sharing costs and efforts. It's important to understand that producers need insights to maintain and adopt actions that meet the biodiversity indicator, and therefore responsibly source it. So, for the coffee growers, shouldn't respect for environmental legislation be in balance with the economic benefits of marketing their product? We are all in this together. The world is becoming an increasingly small place. We are interconnected. Protecting the environment in one country has benefits for people all over the world. Benefits for the global climate protection, as well as agricultural production, in addition to contribute to the livelihoods of people today and in the future. If this concept seems important to you, click like and subscribe. We also invite you to listen to our podcast reaction, where you can hear a new perspective. The link is below in the description.